welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube channel. You already know who I am. This is how West Ham can beat Crystal Palace tomorrow night. This might even be going out early morning tomorrow. So again, tonight even. Listen, quick bit of admin work. 75 now off 5,000 subscribers. Unreal, the support. So make sure you subscribe if you're new and like the video as well. Now, into it. I've identified 4 key players, 2 from West Ham, 2 from Crystal Palace that I think can make a real big difference to this game, and 2 players particularly from West Ham's perspective that we need to be able to nullify in order to prevent them from scoring and creating chances. I'm going to start with this man, Eberechi Eze. Now, obviously, amongst West Ham fans, he's well known as he was a transfer target, allegedly, over the summer, and clearly we went for Said Benrahma in the end, but it's not been easy for Eze in that Palace side. He hasn't got regular starts for most of the season, but he's starting to come into the side now, and he's offering a different looking Palace's attack. As we know, he likes to pick the ball up halfway line, and he'll keep quite wide then, but I think Roy Hodgson's managed to work it with him, so when he picks that ball up, he can come central, he can drive at defences in midfield, and it allows Zaha to keep his position wide where he's preferred and cutting onto his right foot. And Eze's ability to carry the ball, keep the ball, it possibly could trouble West Ham, particularly with the back four. And I'm looking at Soufal in this instance and trying to be able to deal with that threat. Obviously, as I mentioned in the preview, you've got Schluck coming quite central as well. Those attacking 4 really of Crystal Palace are going to cause West Ham some issues. To try and nullify Eze, I imagine that Soufal is going to have to support Balbuena, as well as Declan Rice, providing that defensive responsibility as a pivot and preventing Eze from carrying the ball and travelling too far, because in instances where Eze's been able to pop the ball off to Zaha and Van Aanholt's been able to create an overlap, you've got the likes of Eze, Zaha, Benteke all in the box. So in fact, from an attacking perspective, someone like Eze that carries the ball, gets Palace further up the field and allows the fullbacks to create the overlaps. And as we know with a Roy Hodgson side, he will not push those fullbacks up if he believes that his team can be countered on transition. So it is dangerous for Eze to have too much of the ball. It will allow Palace to come onto us. And it doesn't, of course, mean that Soufal has to be switched on in terms of his discipline, dealing with the run, as well as Declan Rice looking to meet him and win the ball off him, and possibly catching Crystal Palace in transition, which is a very, very hard task. But certainly with his 4-2-3-1, probably suits West Ham in terms of the numbers we'll be able to get forward and looking to create and get service into Sebastien Haller. This one is very, very obvious, and I don't really think it needs any type of introduction. It's, of course, Wilfred Zaha. Fantastic player, really, really good player over the past few seasons for Crystal Palace. He's been their main source of goals, and I know he hasn't quite got that move to that top 6 club that he's been after, but certainly I think this season with the signings that Roy Hodgson's brought in, the way that he wants to play now, I guess in an offensive shape, he's got Eze obviously creating those central runs and allowing him to come wide. It gives him that flexibility in terms of his movement. Zaha is that player that can run in behind. We saw against Fulham, he makes those runs across the box and in behind defenders. He can pick the ball up deep and run at players and draw a foul. Again, the options now that Crystal Palace have up front means that they become less one-dimensional. It becomes more difficult to try and isolate a threat such as Wilfred Zaha. Now, the issue with somebody like that, particularly when he can play an inverted winger, or particularly when he can get in behind, is down that right-hand side. It's that battle between him and Balbuena. Balbuena, particularly against Manchester United, I thought his ability to go and win the ball is more impressive against Leeds. I thought he showed that as well. That's always been the criticism of me, whether he's not patient enough, and sometimes he can be obviously caught out of position, and a player can get in behind. And obviously Zaha is that guy, and like I've said, with the Van Aanholt overlaps and Eze coming central, it does provide an option for Crystal Palace to exploit. But I think in this instance, Declan Rice's role or Thomas Souček's role, I believe they're both playing that defensive pivot, are going to have to try and push Wilfred Zaha into deeper areas where he can't hurt us. It's not to say that he still can't do that, unfortunately. I think, Hodgson's given him that positional flexibility. He can pick it up from either wing or where the ball is. He can take shots from outside the box and score, as we saw the other day against West Brom. He can pick the ball up and score within the box. He's a multi-talented player, and he presents a number of issues for West Ham. So I think in terms of that right-hand side, that defensive shape, we're going to have to be patient, and particularly with Declan Rice and the role, like I said in the preview, again, I suppose with Declan, his role is to be disciplined and to deal with those central threats, and that much is true. But with somebody like Zaha, I feel like if he can push him into deep areas, we can almost create Crystal Palace's attack into that one-dimensional version that perhaps we've seen in previous years. But of course, it's difficult. The way that Hodgson's got them moving, the way he can get his wings to come central and start to put pressure on defences means that Zaha could get through. And again, could become that almost focal point, that striker with the movement that we do tend to struggle with. So from a Crystal Palace perspective, those two players are the ones that West Ham need to nullify. In terms of the players that I believe that West Ham need in order to win this game, I'm going to start with this man. And it always is the case at the moment with Sebastien Haller. He's our only fit striker, our only fit recognised striker. He did have a poor performance against Leeds United, as we all know. His touches were off. The awareness that he'd shown in previous games wasn't at its best. I think it was more from a technical aspect in front of goal as well. He scuffed a few of his shots. I think we have to put it down to a bad performance. I think, that possibly the change in system, I think long-term benefits him with the three attacking midfielders in behind him that he can get onto. You saw against Leeds, though, he's still coming quite deep, and that's because he's been playing in this 3-4-3 system where he has become that guy to hold the ball up and look to get the wingers in behind. In this system, I think we need Sebastien Haller in a more focal point role. I think Haller has shown, that he can make runs in behind. He won't make runs from deep because his pace isn't there. But as a striker, he does have decent movement. And I'd like to think that if West Ham can get him on the edge of that Crystal Palace back four and making runs and trying to exploit them and drawing them out of position with the likes of Said Benrahma, Pablo Fornals, and possibly even Jarrod Bowen, that someone like Sebastien Haller will find the space and time to get a shot off. Listen, I believe his finishing will be much better in this game. You look at Haller, I think he scored a fantastic goal against Sheffield United. His improvement's been shown. I'd like to see him further up the pitch in that final third because I think West Ham not only need it from a goal scoring perspective, of course, and I think it makes it easier if we're trying to draw Crystal Palace onto us because defensively their shape, they won't want to do that. But equally, the fact that Crystal Palace do struggle with that movement in behind sometimes, and I think they can be exploited if they have a creative midfielder just in front of that defence, just in behind those two centre midfielders. So definitely, I think Sebastien Haller's role, even aerially, Crystal Palace are fantastic in terms of defending set pieces. I look at Sebastien Haller as someone who won the second amount, most of the headers last season. I think that maybe he could even possibly cause them problems in those areas. But certainly the mobility for me and the movement that he can show, particularly as a striker, is crucial for West Ham in order to win this game. But this man is the reason and the person that I believe makes a difference for West Ham. He's the person that I think will change the game for us. Is Said Benrahma. Of course, I said it on the stream and I've said it, since that I knew what we were getting with Benrahma. I think from a left wing perspective, of course, he can take on players. He's got good quality assists, good vision. But from what I saw against Leeds, and I hadn't seen him in a 10 role before, his ball retention, his ability to link up play, his mobility to move midfields and defences around and try and drag him out of position is perfect for this Crystal Palace game. He was unlucky with a few wayward shots against Leeds United. I believe he'll get this space in this game. I think particularly when West Ham are playing those three attacking midfielders that could possibly try and get in behind that Crystal Palace midfield, they will find space. And I just feel that the pragmatism of someone like Crystal Palace will mean that they're not going to try and press someone like Said Benrahma. Again, fantastic for us. I think Benrahma's shown in the Championship. He's shown at West Ham so far. He can hurt you near the box and inside the box. He can hurt you outside the box. He can carry the ball. He can retain the ball. He can take pressure off West Ham if Palace are looking to try and counter. I think there's so many avenues for Benrahma to be influential in this game. But moreover, the fact that if he has willing runners off him, runners that want to get in behind Crystal Palace and sort of split that defence open. I'm looking at Jarrod Bowen, possibly even playing in a more advanced role than typically you'd see in that attacking three, and Sebastien Haller, that he can also be the main provider, as well as potentially a goal scorer. And I just think this game is tailor-made for him to break down a team that is resolute, as I've said, pragmatic, and defensively, Roy Hodgson, for me, he's fantastic at organising his side to restrict the space. But certainly you saw against Tottenham Hotspur, and you've seen in previous games, even against Newcastle on the counter, when there is that space in front of that back four, it gives them a question mark. It means do they go and try and press? It means that they can be exposed. And I think if West Ham can particularly break that midfield and get numbers forward, possibly four attackers in this instance, that we can get behind, create enough chances in order to score in this game. So I think, from a West Ham perspective, certainly Said Benrahma, the most important. From a Crystal Palace perspective, naturally, is Wilfred Zaha. I'll be interested to see who has more of an impact on the game. I think Zaha has got the potential to unlock West Ham, but I feel like our midfield is better set up defensively than Crystal Palace is. And I feel that if you give Benrahma too much space, and even if you give him too much space and he can try and draw a defender out, let's not forget the likes of Pablo Fornals, who I believe will thrive in that final third and possibly where he's allowed to come a bit more central link-up play with the likes of Haller and Bowen. So I think West Ham edge it in that sense. And I certainly believe the likes of Said Benrahma absolutely crucial. So once again, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you drop a like on the video as well. Of course, it all helps. And subscribe if you're new. As I've said in all the previous videos today, it's been a long old day. Watch alongs tomorrow. Going to go from 7:30, the build up, the predictions, the tactical analysis beforehand. Obviously, we'll get into the game when it goes 8 o'clock. After which, of course, you'll have my instant post-match reaction. And naturally, I'll start to then build up to the Chelsea game. It's very, very quick at the moment, but I am looking forward to it as ever. Fingers crossed we get the result. And until next time, take care.